What's your name? How do you spell it? And what's your title?
My name is Mr. Sinish, Sinish, and I teach tech support at Penn High School.
All right. What are your thoughts on AI chatbot?
So the AI chatbot, in general, I think they're very cool, groundbreaking rather. So it has a lot of potential. We're still in the infancy stage, believe it or not, and it's already kind of overwhelming to many. But the potential is there for quite a bit different world in the future based off of just how they progress with the AI chatbots.
How are chatbots helpful for like students? Do you think it's beneficial? Or?
Yeah, so overall, I think, again, it's kind of one of those double-edged swords where there is a lot of good things that could come from it, but then a lot of scary things as well, because the ChatGPT could write somebody's essay within minutes. And if you can't detect that as a teacher because it's hard to, then they're just plagiarizing and they're not getting anything from it. However, in my class, I do welcome ChatGPT sometimes because we're doing IT. So if we're using command line stuff or Linux stuff and they don't know how to proceed, rather than Googling the answer, ChatGPT is basically a better Google search engine. And if they get an answer from that, that's great, but they still need to learn how to implement that. Well, as like with an essay, they don't have to like implement it or anything. They just copy paste it to their Google Doc and they turn it in as their own work. So similar to coding, with coding, I would love ChatGPT as a teacher because they could get some help from just specific types of code. And then as a coding teacher, I think, I don't teach coding, but I think you would be able to determine whether or not they just copy pasted everything versus getting a little bit of support from like a certain function or a method.
Have you used ChatGPT?
Yeah, I have used ChatGPT both for fun and for my work, actually. So for fun, with the class, I told them about ChatGPT, and I just told ChatGPT to write us like a song based on our class and our interests. I had all students just put their name and some of the things they were interested in. So that was fun. And then for class work, I copy-pasted my notes that I was teaching for that lesson, and I just said, write me a 30-question multiple-choice quiz, and it will do that for you. And I was able to use a lot of those for my real tests. And going back to like how it could be helpful for students, if they are taught how to just copy-paste our notes into ChatGPT and give them practice questions, that is, in my opinion, better than making flashcards because it kind of condenses your notes into these questions where you haven't seen them before then. And then you could have a multiple choice test right there handy for you to practice from.
It's pretty quick and easy.
Right.
So do you think the information from AI chatbots is accurate?
Sometimes it's not, actually. So in my cybersecurity course, we were trying to decode a bunch of ciphers. And some of the ciphers I would create on my own. And then the students, I told them they could use Google, ChatGPT, or whatever they wanted to. And one of my students, Colin, he posted it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gave him an answer, confidently gave him an answer, and it was not the right one. So you always have to double check your work as well. I would definitely not use it for any types of essays or anything because it doesn't give you sources as far as I know, and that's kind of a game breaker. So again, if students are kind of taught how to use it effectively, I think it will be very good in the future. But it's kind of like calculators. When those came out, I'm sure teachers and students were kind of in the same dilemma, like, hey, is this going to hurt our math or help it? I think we could obviously see that calculators are useful used appropriately.
And then, are AI chatbots good for education, or do you think, or good for society?
I think they are good for society eventually, but we're in that transition phase where it's definitely, we don't know how to actually handle it, right? So for businesses and other things like that, I think the efficiency is going to be key. And with efficiency, that could be good or bad, right? Depending on, like, if I'm an employee and it's doing some of my work for me, well, I might be out of a job, or it might lower the demand for my position. But we just have to go through that adjustment phase to see how it will turn out in the future. Overall, though, I think it is going to be beneficial for society. We just have to learn how to adapt to it.
It's over time.
Yeah, over time. But right now, it's like scary. So I'm glad I'm not an English teacher to worry about all those.
Is ChatGPT like the only thing that you use, or do you use like other AIs?
Well, now that ChatGPT is out there's other companies that are trying to compete with it, and I believe like Google is one of them, and I can't remember exactly, but there's going to be some competition out there, and who knows? I wouldn't doubt that they're going to start paying for some of the uses of these until there's more competition, or maybe implement ads or something.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.